Yo, what's good, goons? Teddy and the Void once again.
Hello!
And today we're diving into one of the wildest, most persistently whispered legends of our time. A conspiracy that spans continents, centuries, and maybe even entire layers of reality. I'm talking about Agartha, a hidden world buried beneath our feet, and the mysterious maps, explorers, and encounters that suggests the Earth isn't what we think it is. We're gonna spiral deep into the secret military missions, ancient scrolls, impossible geography, and the idea that the entire civilizations may be living just beneath the crust, watching us. So goons, roll up the like button, grab a snack for your third eye, and let's crack open the crust of reality itself. Alright goons, picture this. It's the Cold War. Spies in trench coats, UFO sightings on the regular, and underground bunkers being built like it's a Home Depot Black Friday sale. And right in the middle of all this paranoia, a map starts circulating. But not just any map. This one, it shows entrances to what looks like a global subway system. Only it's not built by humans. At least not the humans we know. The origin? Rumored to be an old Nazi expedition document, but that's not the only one. Buddhist lamas had similar diagrams centuries earlier. Vedic cosmology, also eerily aligned. Even 17th century Jesuit missionaries wrote about cave systems in South America that sang when you walked through them. Harmonics that weren't natural. And the deeper you look, the harder it gets to call it coincidence. This map, it's got pins all over the world. The Himalayas, the Amazon, Antarctica, Siberia, Mount Shasta, even the frickin' Gobi Desert, all connected like someone built a hidden infrastructure under the world while the rest of us were busy inventing forks and arguing about land. I saw a version of the map that connected Rome to the Grand Canyon. I'm not even joking. Supposedly, the Vatican has an entrance hidden under one of its many basements. Makes you wonder what else they keep locked behind those big old Vatican vault doors, those Vatican archives, huh? But here's the real kicker. People who have studied the map say the tunnels shift. They change shape. They disappear from radar. They only activate under certain conditions. Solar flares, moon phases, ritual timings. It's not just geography, it's geometry. So the question isn't just where the tunnels go, it's when they work. And if they move, who's moving them? Let's pull the thread back a bit. Agartha isn't just a one-off myth like Bigfoot or Mothman. Nah, this one's old, deep-rooted, global. I mean, cultures that never even made contact with each other all somehow wrote about the same thing, a world below the world. Start in Tibet. Monks talk about Shambhala, the mystical kingdom that lies within. It's not a metaphor. They describe cities, technology, even an entire ecosystem underground. Then move to the Vedic texts from ancient India. Agartha shows up again, not just a location, but a whole inner earth realm, complete with massive cities made of crystal, lit not by sunlight, but by some internal source. They even mention beings of light, tall, humanoid, glowing eyes, who communicate telepathically. You catching the pattern here, goons? Indigenous tribes in North America speak of star people who retreated into the earth, not up into the sky, but down. When things on the surface get too violent or noisy, they say the star people send messengers disguised as travelers or even animals to check in. We spiral deeper. Ancient Greeks believed in the underworld, but not just the dead zone. Hades wasn't all hellfire and brimstone. There were secret rivers, hidden realms, even a garden of eternal sleep where time had no power. Now check this. A 19th century French mystic named Saint Wise de Alvedrai, I'm sorry if I butchered this name, swore he was telepathically contacted by these inner earth beings. He called them the ascended masters of Agartha. said they lived in peace, held ancient tech, and watched surface humanity from afar. He wrote about them, published his findings, and died under extremely weird circumstances. Some say sewer slide, others say he was silenced. But even if you throw all of that out, what about the caves? There are places across the globe where people disappear, not just kidnapped or lost, but gone. Caves where compasses don't work, where echoes respond with words you didn't say, where the air feels aware. So let me throw this at you. What if the myths, the stories, the sightings are all fragments of something real, something just beneath us? And what if the reason we're told to stop digging is because we're getting too close? Alright goons, now we're entering the part of the rabbit hole where the boots get muddy and the timelines get sketchy. Let's talk about Admiral Richard E. Byrd. In 1947, Byrd was a highly respected American naval officer and explorer. That year, he was tapped to lead Operation High Jump, a U.S. Navy expedition to Antarctica that involved over 4,000 personnel, 13 ships, and aircraft carriers for a research trip. It was stacked like they were preparing for war. The official narrative, they were testing gear in extreme cold and mapping uncharted territory. The unofficial rumor, they were searching for something ancient, something buried under the ice. Now here's where it gets weird. Byrd kept a private flight log, or at least that's what the whispers say. In it, he described flying over a warm, green valley where there should have been nothing but frozen wasteland. He claimed he saw mammoths, rivers, and vegetation, all in a place no sunlight should reach. And then the kicker, he said his aircraft was intercepted, not by enemy planes, but by a flying disc that pulled his plane into a landing bay without violence and brought him before a figure he only referred to as the Master. This being allegedly told him, "You are of the surface world, we have observed you. Your kind plays with destructive forces, your skies burn with fire, your seas scream." The message was simple: stop playing with nukes or the planet would purge itself. Byrd was released. He returned to his fleet, but Operation High Jump ended 6 months earlier than planned, and Byrd was pulled into debriefings so secret, some documents are still classified today. Afterwards, he barely spoke publicly. Some say he was silenced. Others say he couldn't handle what he saw. But yo, what if he wasn't the first to find it? And what if the others knew it was there and went looking too? Because that's not the only story. Rumors swirl about other expeditions, Soviet teams, private corporations, even rogue occult groups, all trying to access whatever's under the ice. You ever wonder why Antarctica is so locked down? It's not just penguins and glaciers. Some of the richest, most powerful people on Earth have flown there in complete secrecy, and not just recently. We're talking decades. So what's really under the ice? Maybe not a world, but a door. All right, we've talked about the legend. Now let's talk about the geography. Because if there really is an inner Earth, if Agartha exists, how do you get in? Multiple alleged entrance points have been passed around for decades. Some are in the most extreme environments on Earth, others hidden in plain sight. Let's start with the big one, Antarctica. We've already mentioned Byrd's mysterious flight, but satellite images before Google started blurring parts showed strange, symmetrical openings in the ice, miles wide. People swear they saw what looked like vehicle tracks heading into them. Others report glowing light emitting from beneath the surface during polar night. Next, Mount Shasta, California. This one is a classic in esoteric circles. Long before modern conspiracy YouTube, legends said an ancient race called the Lemurians escaped a catastrophe and moved into the mountain. People still report glowing orbs around it, unmarked helicopters doing midnight sweeps, and hikers hearing strange music, like flutes or chanting, coming from deep in the earth. A guy I spoke to, let's call him Ranger Pete, told me he once followed what he thought was an echo or a wind current, only to stumble across a cave that hadn't been mapped. He said he felt pulled to go inside, but the second he crossed the threshold, his GPS died, his flashlight flickered, and his body started to tingle. He backed out. But the cave, he couldn't find it again the next day, and he tried. GPS showed nothing. Then there's the Himalayas. Tibetan monks have long spoken about cave systems so vast they cross borders. Stories of monks disappearing for months, sometimes years, and returning with glowing skin, unreadable scrolls, and knowledge of how sound makes form. The Amazon tribes have oral traditions about serpent gods who came from the underworld and left behind tunnels. Some of these tribes are so remote they don't even have words for modern technology, but they do all agree that under the jungle, something lives. There's even been speculation about deep ocean trenches like the Mariana Trench, that some of the entrances aren't on the land at all, but deep beneath the sea, guarded by currents and pressure that would crush any uninvited visitor. But here's the thing, most of these entrances, they're either militarized or located on protected land. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe they're hiding the staircases to a civilization that never left, just moved deeper. And the more you look, the more you start to feel that the whole world is stitched with doorways we're not allowed to open. So goons, by now we've gathered a few facts that shouldn't fit together, but somehow they do. We've got mountains, caves, oceans, and deserts all hiding possible entrances to something way deeper. But what if those entrances weren't just random? Let's spiral into some of the weirder patterns, the breadcrumbs left across centuries that hint this might be a system, not an accident. First up, the alignment. Some of the most popular Hollow Earth theorists claim that the supposed entrances form a kind of global grid, like nodes on a planet-sized energy circuit. When plotted out, many of these entrances fall near what's called the Earth's ley lines, invisible rivers of geomagnetic force said to connect sacred sites like the pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, Easter Island, and entrances to Agartha. Coincidence? Sure, until you look at ancient city foundations, so many of them built in straight lines that serve no strategic or agriculture purpose. It's almost like they were built as markers, like breadcrumbs for something watching from above or beneath. Now throw this into the mix. Seismic data from certain regions like the Himalayas and the Amazon sometimes registers underground vibrations that don't match tectonic activity. No earthquake, no aftershock, just a deep, rhythmic thrum. Some say it's mining, some say it's tectonic tension, but what if it's movement? What if it's something still down there, shifting, sending signals, or even opening and closing pathways? And then there's the reports, modern day ones, satellite anomalies, subsurface radar glitches. A deep sea drone in 2017 reported echo reflections from an unaccounted void near the South Sandwich Trench. They wrote it off, blamed it on faulty sonar, but 2 months later, that entire research team was relocated and reclassified. Makes you wonder, if the entrances really are real, how many aren't on the map? How many haven't been found? Or worse, how many were found and buried again? Because maybe it's not just about keeping us out, maybe it's about keeping something in. And whatever's in there, it might not be asleep. Alright goons, this is where we break the surface and fall into the deep end, spiraling into the 5 most mind-melting, spine-tapping theories that try to explain what the heck all of this could mean. Let's go. Theory 1. Hollow Earth is real, but it's not what you think. This one, classic, but it's not the you could drive a car inside the Earth and hit a lava lamp theory. It's more like this. The Earth is layered, physically, energetically, maybe even spiritually, And one of those layers might host sentient life, cities, portals, a civilization that evolved parallel to us, but without the war, the greed, the internet beef. Think biospheres, enclosed ecosystems, a level of engineering and balance so advanced it looks like magic. Some theorists say they've mastered energy, gravity, and consciousness. They don't need roads. They move by thought. And we are ants yelling into a microphone. Theory 2. Agartha is a dimensional mirror. What if it's not a place, but a phase? Agartha could be a vibrational twin of Earth. Same geography, same terrain, but only visible if your consciousness hits the right frequency. Ever hear about people vanishing in forests? Airplane pilots flying into clouds and coming out hours later without losing fuel. Could be blips, could be echoes, could be temporary bleed-throughs. Theory 3. Black Ops and Psychic Warfare. This one hits hard. Some insiders claim that Agartha, or at least access to it, is actively guarded by elite forces. Not just dudes with rifles, I'm talking remote viewers, energy field generators, high-tech gear that manipulates perception. The entrances are known, cataloged, but they're not opened, not unless they want you in. There are even rumors of human Agarthan contact protocols, brief exchanges between shadow governments and inner Earth societies, peace deals, trade agreements, but something went wrong. Maybe we broke the truce. Theory 4. The Earth is wounded. Now this one's poetic, in a terrifying way. Some mystics say the Earth isn't just a planet, it's a living consciousness. And these tunnels, these portals, they're scars, rips, pressure points. The more we dig, the more we detonate. The more we fracture the veil that separates our world from the one underneath. If the Earth is conscious, maybe it's reacting, sealing off entrances, whispering warnings, giving us one last chance to stop. And the question is, are we listening? Theory 5. We are the intruders. Here's the one that keeps me up at night, goons. What if we're not the original inhabitants of this planet? What if surface civilization, humans, society, Starbucks, all of it is just a temporary overlay on an ancient system we can't comprehend? Maybe Agartha is the original world, and we, the invasive species. And maybe they're getting ready to reclaim what was never truly ours. Alright, goons, let's bring it home with some of the most recent, strangest, and creepiest stories from people who claim they've seen something, felt something, or even heard something coming from the Earth itself. Let's start with this one from 2013. A group of splunkers, cave explorers in Mexico, claim they followed a tunnel that wasn't on any map. It was smooth, round, with walls that looked polished, not naturally eroded, not carved by humans. It went deeper than any passage they'd seen. One guy swore he felt something watching them, and others said the air got thicker, like breathing underwater. Then their lights failed, all at once, like someone flipped a switch. They turned around, crawled back the way they came. But when they exited the cave, their watches were off by 6 hours. Here's another, 2020. A hiker in the Russian Urals posts a video showing a strange vibration in the earth. You can see pine needles dancing, but there's no wind. He says in the video, translated, the forest is humming like it's alive. A week later, he deletes all his content. Friends say he started having nosebleeds and dreams of cities made of quartz. Then there's the sound phenomenon. Maybe you've heard it. Maybe you've even looked it up. The hum. A low-frequency sound heard in places like Taos, New Mexico, Bristol, United Kingdom, and parts of Canada, even some parts of the United States. No machines, no factories, just a vibration in the air. And no one, not scientists, not geologists, can figure out what's causing it. Some say it's industrial, others say it's seismic, but a few say it's the sound of something moving beneath us. A slow grinding awareness, waiting. And here's where I spiral for a sec. What if all of these so-called UFOs we keep seeing, all these weird lights in the sky, they're not coming from space? What if they're coming out of the Earth? What if the reason no government ever gives straight answers is because they're not dealing with aliens from another planet? They're dealing with neighbors who've been here longer than we have. Agartha, the watchers below. Maybe the reason the entrances are hidden is because they're not ready for us yet. Or worse, they are. Okay, goons, deep breath. Because this is where we pull back and look at the big picture. What if the Earth isn't just hiding something beneath the crust? What if it's remembering, all throughout human history, we've had myths of underground realms, Hades, Sheol, Xibalba, Patala. These places weren't just fantasy, they were warnings, descriptions, maybe even coordinates. Maybe Agartha wasn't forgotten, maybe it was buried, on purpose, by people or beings who knew we weren't ready. And here's the part that really hits. What if that feeling we get, that sense that something is off with the world, isn't paranoia? It's an ancestral memory. Like our DNA is trying to warn us. We feel it in an abandoned tunnels. We hear it in strange dreams. We sense it in those moments of silence when everything feels too quiet. Because something is stirring. And some part of us remembers. Alright, goons, that's it for this spiral, but the thread doesn't stop here. Whether you think Agartha is a myth, metaphor, or straight up real, one thing's clear. There are gaps in our history, there are blank spots on our maps, and there are stories that don't want to stay buried. So if you ever feel that the hum in the ground, or you hear your name in the wind where it shouldn't be, maybe don't run, maybe listen. Because sometimes the truth isn't up there in the stars, it's waiting beneath your feet. This has been Goon Files, Episode 9. Hit the like button, drop your wildest theories in the comments, and as always, stay weird, stay watching, and keep digging. Catch you on the next spiral, goons. There should be videos on the screen right now. Click on either one of them to continue the Goon Fix. The one in the middle, you can subscribe. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. 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 Triple cheese. Wake up, wake up.